like to kind of start off with the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. So if you can get up. Okay, ready, get set. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. We'd first like to take a moment of quiet silence. Remember our school, our classmates, our best friends, and so on. So for a few seconds, let's just pause. Thank you very much. I'm going to introduce Ken, who's going to carry on. But we do want to give special thanks to the chairman of this group, committee, Mr. Frank Russo. Big hand. Frank's getting older. He had a birthday 2 days ago, and he said I'm not going to have him anymore. Co-chairman, Marge, you know, from Marge's Donut Den, she is a Trojan. Where is she? Raise it high. And Debbie Jones, where are you, Debbie? You don't know, but these people work tirelessly, and they have been an absolute loyal Trojans, wonderful people. So thank you very much, guys. Ken?
That was John Katseer, class of '63. I'm Ken Cook, class of '66. Just in case you wonder. we are legitimate South High grads, or at least attended. We don't care if you graduated or not, just as long as you walk these halls.
We're not sure Ken's legitimate.
As far as acknowledgments, we also need to acknowledge the Grand Rapids Job Corps Center, Gerald R. Ford Job Corps Center, for their cooperation in allowing this to happen. You are on federal property. Do you know that? It's a scary thing. They have a lot of rules. And this man here worked for years with them on other things, and then kind of brought up the idea of, wouldn't it be great if we could bring our people back here? And I said, well, yeah, but we have rules. Yeah, yes, you have rules. How many of you came through the metal detector today? Did you? I didn't. I came in the other door. We used to have to sign in more than this many times because the federal government wanted one of our signatures. But after the very first meeting, first homecoming event, we had well over 400 people, 500 people in that range here. We were totally surprised, had no idea. And that many people showed up that first time, and the Job Corps Center said, wow, this is a good thing. Let's do it again. So, thankful to the Job Corps Center here that they allow us to do this, even if we are breaking some rules. I'm going to ask Cindy Husted-Noraki, Reverend Cindy Husted-Noraki, to give the invocation.
Just remember him.
Gracious and loving God, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Ishmael, we give thanks for the blessing to get together with old friends, to celebrate our times of walking these halls and learning to love and share with people that did not necessarily look like ourselves. We're thankful that we had the opportunity to experience a world that included black, white, and brown people living together as one, respecting the differences and learning all the similarities that we shared. The lessons from this school were much more important than the ones that came from books. We pray for all those who cannot be here today for whatever reason. We pray for safe travel for those who have come from great distances and those who came from across town. May we never forget the lessons you taught us through the friendships that we made here. South High was a school and experience like no other. I, for one, am so thankful to have had the blessing in my life. Help us to continue to spread the kind of world that we lived in, that we grew up in. And we pray that others can come to share the same understandings that you showed us. Bless us now and always. Amen.
I am wondering, I know a couple, how many of you are here for the first time to this event? Oh my goodness. Wow. Oh, thank you. That's about a third of the folks sitting here. Well, I'm glad you came. What would it look like without you today? Is there anybody here besides Marge from the class of 57? 57. Marge is from that class. Any of her classmates here? Just Marge. How many of you are here from classes before 1957? Every year we recognize a person or two or three for the South High Spirit Award, and we're going to need a new plaque. Already ordered, because we already have those people picked, and Frank Russo is here to make that presentation.
This year, the South High Spirit Award goes to two couples that were South High students. And the first couple is Carol Joyce DeYoung and her husband Tom. Would you please come up? Ever since we started the South High Spirit Network, which has been about 12 years now, that Tom and Carol have been in just about every event that we've ever had. And the second award goes, and Tom and Carol were the class of 63. Now in the class of 66 is Errol Williams Love and her husband Stephen. And would you come up please, Errol? Stephen passed away about 8 years ago. And this is another South High couple that did so much for all of the South High stuff throughout the years. They were the first people to have the memorabilia sold to all the reunions on a regular basis. But of all of the things that I've done, this particular thing, having the South High Spirit Network yearly homecoming event in the auditorium at the school is my greatest achievement. And please tell your friends and other classmates to try to make this every year, because this is something that is only dear to us, and there's not many of us left that can enjoy this beautiful auditorium. And with the South High connection that we have with the Gerald R. Ford Museum, we were able to get the drum back on our stage. Yay! And if and when you ever go to to the Gerald R. Ford Museum, mention it to them, that we appreciate them giving us back that drum, because they didn't have to do it. And I encouraged them to do it for us. Now the next step is that we need to have some kind of a fundraiser to have it encased in plexiglass and put on wheels so that we can move it around and show it to different people. That drum was created for South High School in 1925. And at that time it was the second largest drum in the country. I'm not sure how it ranks now today on today's standards, but that's 7 feet in diameter. So it's something to be very proud of, and that's my second greatest achievement, is having that drum brought back.
You know, and we've had many, many wonderful, wonderful, dedicated folks. And I'm pleased to be able to introduce someone else that's been very involved with South High School. He was a legendary athlete and a legendary figure and a wonderful person. And I'm going to let him tell you a little bit. But he is the chief cook and bottle washer and advocate and planner and so on. Spent a great amount of time. And he's going to tell you a little bit about that. Mr. Jim Atkinson.
I was in the class of '58, and as John talked about family, I looked around here. This is family. This is the South High School family, the spirit of South High. And it's a spirit that's almost like family. Now, obviously, it isn't biological family, but the spirit of South High School is in these walls. It's in those halls, which we can't get into. People live in this building now, but it is the spirit of South High, maybe up for grabs. Okay. I do bring greetings from a class that is a little bit before the 40s. 58 had a 60-year reunion yesterday. We invited 2 people from the class of 1938. This would have been their 80th class reunion. And Wayne Trimp and Mike Murphy were there. I invited them both to this. Murph sends his best. I talked to him this morning, and Murph sends his best. Says say hello to everybody. He couldn't make it. And Wayne Trimp did the same thing. Murph is 98. He was 98 years old, May 28th. Wayne Trimp is actually a year and 2 months older than Murph. Kind of honks Murph off, but he can't do anything about it. It is wonderful to sit and listen to those folks talk about the school from 1936 when they came into it and on up. Again, a lot of spirit, a lot of sentimentality, but that is what the spirit of South High is all about. 2 things will keep that spirit going forever. Well, I should say 3 things, because you folks are up, for keeping that up. But we have a thing called the Varsity Club, and 31 years ago, some of the athletes from South who had won a major S award got together and decided to have a yearly get-together of athletes from South High School. Now, you have to have earned a major S award in order to be on that roster and be invited to that. But they have met yearly for 31 years. And Thursday, we had our 31st get-together. We had 100 South High athletes there. Now, there are probably 1,000 or more South High athletes who earned a major S in the city. They just haven't signed up for the Varsity Club yet. Ken talked about getting the word out. Frank talked about getting people to come to this. We always keep it the Thursday after Labor Day. If you make it another date, it's gonna go right by a lot of us. Thursday after Labor Day. And this get-together is always the Saturday after Labor Day. So as you go out and see some of your classmates, whether they got a varsity S or not, that doesn't matter for coming to this. But for the Varsity Club, have them get a hold of me. We've got a sign-up sheet over here started with somebody from the class of 63 now. Get signed up. It keeps the spirit of South alive. South High Varsity Club. The second thing that we have, and this was actually the class of 1954 that got this idea. At their 40th reunion, some of the smart people in that class, and it wasn't Van Manen and Helms, they played football without helmets. They couldn't do these, but no, whoever got together decided to get a scholarship from South High School and to put it through Grand Rapids Community College Foundation. Probably, no, I think it was community college by then. It was JC before that. And so they did. They started collecting money. 2 graduates of South, Carol Streeter, who was about a 1937 graduate, and Jim Tabor, who was a 45 graduate, were in business in Grand Rapids, and they knew everybody in Grand Rapids, and I mean everybody. They went to the fellows and women that had started the scholarship fund for the class of 54 in 1996 and said, how much money have you gathered? And they said, well, we had $4,000. And they said, you know, if you're going to make this go, you're going to have to really go after this. So they kind of assumed leadership of it. They literally contacted people at the Penn Club, churches, business people, everybody. They build it up into an endowment fund within a few years. Now, an endowment means that it's a large pot of money that they then invest through the foundation, Community College Foundation. And the interest from that endowment fund then is put towards scholarships for students. 46 students have been put through community college since we started this scholarship. It is wonderful. South High Scholarship number 278, Grand Rapids Community College Foundation, will keep South High School spirit forever. We're down to 2 public high schools now in Grand Rapids, Union and Ottawa. We actually peaked the bylaws a little bit, and we now offer a scholarship to anybody from the Job Corps who may need college-level credits in their training here. Oh, yes. And thank you. That's my wife keeping me on track again. The endowment is now $246,000. Thank you.
The aforementioned Deborah Jones has some things to report, some information. Come on up here.
I wanted to share just a little quick story with you. 20 years ago, the class of 1968 was given a picture of our graduating class in our cap and gown, taken on the stage. Mr. Smart, Reuben Smart, had it at his house. And he contacted one of our classmates and said, come and get it. So we went and got it. And this picture is 5 feet wide, 4 feet tall. And so it was in my house for a while, and I said, you know, if my house caught on fire, that's the only thing I'm taking out of there. So get it out of here. So we actually presented that picture to the Job Corps. And they framed it. It is hanging on the wall in the South High Memorabilia Room, which is the office of the director. So last weekend, the class of 1968 and 1969, because we invited that class with us, had that class join us at our 25th year class reunion, because the class of 1969, and raise your hand because I know there are a few, I know Jim is here, yep, class of 1969. They were yanked out of this school, separated, forced to be bused out to schools that you know, places and communities that they were not familiar with. So we as a class of 68 decided, this is our class too. We're going to bring this class with us, and that's what we've done. So we had our 50th class reunion last weekend. It was our biggest turnout ever. We had 93 people on Friday and 123 people on Saturday. And we had a great time. One thing that we did at our 45th class reunion, we decided that we wanted to do something for the South High Scholarship. So we had a raffle. Not 50-50, 60-40. Because that's how we do. We're different. 40% went to the winner, and then 60% went to the South High Scholarship at GRCC. So we did it again at the 50th class reunion. And with the 40%, along with donations from classmates and donations from the committee, we presented to the South High Varsity Club on Thursday a check from the class of 1968-69 in the amount of $1,000. To the red and blue of South High. Thank you.
I'm going to introduce someone now from the class of 1919, Sandy Beelman Warner. No, just kidding. Just kidding. If you were around the mid-50s, actually, she graduated in what, 1962.
I started here in 57.
How many years did it take you? Forgive me. Sandy has had some unbelievable activity in her quest for things of memorabilia and things that she has done, and some book writing, and we can all be very, very proud of her. Sandy?
Most of you have heard the story of the South High's bomber, and there's a picture there that shows the dedication ceremony. It's also on the cover of the book that I wrote about it. And I want to just say a couple of things. First of all, when you write a nonfiction book and you self-publish it, you know that it's going to be scrutinized far greater than any other book of nonfiction. And so I wanted to be historically accurate. And I learned something new about the story. Initially, the story, which I was told over and over by various classmates who are still around, and also the few things that I read about the story was that Mr. Mulder read in his classroom from the Weekly Reader about the Biobomber program. And when I was doing the research, I had librarians looking, I looked everywhere. We bought weekly readers, I bought collections of weekly readers off of eBay, and I never could find the 2 weeks that I thought would be the weeks that he got the weekly reader from. And so in the book it says that this whole thing started in Mr. Mulder's classroom when he read the story of the Biobomber program to his 8th grade students. Well, this book has been all over the country, and a gentleman from Chicago contacted me several months ago, and he said he's looking for his school's bomber from Lane Tech in Chicago, and he's having a heck of a time finding information. But he found out something, and he called me and he said, Sandy, now don't tell the people from that class that told you it was the Weekly Reader, but he said, I don't think it was the Weekly Reader. He said, because in his research, he found a newsletter that was sent to all teachers It was called the Schools at War Bulletin, and all teachers in the country got these. And it was filled with ideas and things that they could do with their students to support the war effort. The United States Treasury Department realized that children needed to be a big part of this war effort and help here at home, and the children wanted to be. So he said, I found not only one, but multiple ones of these had the Buy a Bomber program in it. And not only did it have the Buy a Bomber program, but in the October 1943 issue, on page 6, is a picture of our dedication photograph that was at Kent County Airport on April 3rd, 1943. So I am almost 99% convinced that it was probably the same day he read the Weekly Reader, but he also told him what he found out in something else that the students didn't know. I mean, how many times did we know where our teachers got the information they gave us? So because of that, and because I want the book to be historically accurate, the new books have the new information in it. But if you bought a book prior to today, I have stickers that you can put inside your front cover that gives the correct information on those pages. So, you know, the book has won a couple of awards, but the one I covet the most is the one from the Michigan Historical Society. And I knew that book was scrutinized far greater than all of the books from the university libraries and that. And I had to bite my cheeks to keep from laughing when I went to the ceremony, because all the awards they gave were great big thick books from the University of Michigan Press and from all these lauded places, and then here's our little bomber book. So I was very proud of that. Okay, that was the first thing. The second thing is the Buy a Bomber story is a story of what students did in raising over $300,000 in war bonds in 7.5 weeks' time. It's extraordinary what they accomplished. And when I wrote the book, I wrote it basically for everybody, for adults, and I thought there should be something for kids. So the She Started It All book just came out, and it is a historical fiction. It's not true, except all the information about the bomber is in there. Now, some people think I said it and did it from South High School. If I had done that, I couldn't have told the rest of the story. So it's set in present time in Meadows of Dan, Virginia, where the bomber crashed. And it's a classroom, and the boy gets assigned U.S. war bonds, and the girl gets assigned Army aircraft, and therein lies the angst between the two of them. So that just came out, and some people, a lot of adults have purchased it and enjoyed the fact that they could then see how I took the facts and wove them into another story. And Jim said he broke out hysterically laughing because the coach in there, of course, is Coach Murphy. And, you know, I get to use the names of people. The two main characters are Sandy and Joe. I tried other names. It just had to be Joe Rogers, because he always says she started it, and I always say he started it. And so therein lies the title, too. But it does fit in the story. But I did tell Joe when I was writing it, I said, now, Joe, in this story, Sandy and Joe get together, but don't get any ideas. Okay, now the biggest announcement and the thing I'm most excited about is so many of you donated money for the historical marker that's going to be placed in Meadows of Dan, Virginia on the Blue Ridge Parkway, honoring South High School, talk about it living on forever, and the good people of Meadows of Dan, Virginia. At Meadows of Dan, at Mabry's Mill, which is 176.2 milepost on the Blue Ridge Parkway, we have a marker honoring South High School on the Blue Ridge Parkway.
Now, How many people remember the alma mater? Oh, pretty good. Pretty good. Pretty good. Well, you want me to read the words to you first and then sing? Come on, Debbie. Come on up with me.
If you beat the drum, maybe you'll come back to us.
And then you don't want to prompting.
Okay, now we'll give you, we'll cheat a little bit. We'll read it first. Everybody rise. We sing to you, South will be true. Love and devotion we will give to you.
We'll sound your praise all throughout our days.
Hail to the red and blue South. All right, that's the first thing. We'll continue from there. Here we go. Ready, Deb? We sing to you, South will be true. Love and devotion we will give to you. We'll sound your praise all throughout our days. Hail to the red and blue of South High School. You give to us courage and trust, standards of loyalty and honor too. We'll sound your praise all throughout our days. Hail to the red and blue of South High School. Okay.
Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them we are the Trojans, mighty, mighty Trojans. Everywhere we go, people want to know who we are. So we tell them we are the Trojans, mighty, mighty Trojans. Everywhere we go.
So we tell them.
Thank you and God bless. Hey, one last note. If some of you were thinking of going on a tour in parts of the building, because hello, hey, Larry, hey, because the administration at Gerald R. Ford changed last week, things didn't happen. Lights almost didn't happen, but things didn't happen, and there will be no tours this year. So sorry. You have to come next year.
South, when they had the football games, they had me pull the drum.
maybe I wasn't good enough to march with the band, but so I
All right, pull the handle.
And during the halftime, I'd be like this, and my classmates would be throwing snowballs at me from the stadium at you know, at the field house. I'd be pulling this, and they'd be throwing snowballs at it. So that's the memory I had at South High School.